Alrighty, folks. Here we are in week 10 of the Meridian Collegiate Conference. Here on this Tuesday, right before the typical Wednesday slate of games, we got Nebraska versus Penn State to wrap up this schedule in the Northern Conference.
Yeah, my name's Dave Man. That's fast, obviously. And like you said, this is going to be a real exciting one. Obviously, Penn State and Nebraska, two big teams. Penn State might not be having the season that they're looking for, and they got one last chance, best way to put it. And Nebraska, they got a locked-in playoffs, but they're seeing if they have an ability to get all the way to that first seed. But I think right before we get into this game, fast, who do you think is going to win it all?
You know, I would love for Penn State to do it, and today I have to root for them. I think Penn State goes all the way. There is a fair set of circumstances, and we'll get into this later, that could bring Penn State to the playoffs, and I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, and I personally will agree with you. I feel that we will see a Penn State victory. And in fact, the coin also believes that Penn State will have a victory here. So 4 people total. Nivex also voted for Penn State, not here today. And then Parf, the other stream manager, not here today, voted for Nebraska, his own university. But I think we are ready to go here. And we will see what both of these teams are doing as they start joining up the lobby. Nebraska will be on the orange side, and we will be seeing the PSU team on the blue side matching their own color. And underway goes kickoff.
And here we go. Nebraska winning it early, and, you know, I've loved how this Nebraska team has been wrapping up this season. It's been just a lot of fun to watch, but, you know, at the end of the day, we just need Penn State to come through for a dub here. No bias.
No bias. Yeah, 100% though, but right now K-Fish is going to try to spoil all the fun. I think there's a lot of bigger things that a lot of teams are hoping for. Pratt especially. It's one of those teams that they took down Penn State. Obviously, the game didn't actually go through, but they are desperately hoping for PSU to win this game because due to tiebreakers, which we will get into, I think during a post-game, they need that victory. But right now, we got obviously Kendi, new guy. Kendi, who's always been here, Evan, who's been around all the time as well, and then Classy, who started, I want to say, last week or the week before. But right now, worry shot there, but Kendi's able to deflect it to the side, and Evan will now be the one taking it.
Yeah, it's looking a little shaky for Penn State, if I had to say so myself. I am confident in this roster pickup in Classy. You know, being in this Penn State community, Classy's just, you know, he's a dog, you could say. Like, he can really play ball, so I'm confident in Penn State's ability to come through here, and really it just comes down to scoring one goal at a time, as we might be seeing one here, but Penn State's got it on lock on the defense.
Yeah, but like we're talking about this, Nebraska, they have not let up on the offense. They have a nearly 75% possession on which field it's on, going 75% 3/4 of the way for them. But right now, K-Fish, he's going to try to make this awkward, but Classy, he cuts it off. And Electro's been amazing for this Nebraska team. He's been the superstar, I want to say. Maybe not all the stats in the world back it up, but I think when you watch the gameplay, the eye test alone tells you that this guy has something. And obviously, you want to see it in playoffs, and obviously, Nebraska really wants to see it now, even if Penn State doesn't. And Evan, though, gets a huge clear, and suddenly there's a breakout. Kendi puts it off to the corner, and Zimic, another guy, is there too, and putting it back over.
And you can really just tell how offensively strong this Nebraska team is as they almost get one to go. But Penn State says not quite yet, and maybe not quite ever, as they'll be looking to find a goal of their own. Unfortunately, no one following that up, but Evan will take a shot, and Nebraska is really just winning this offensive battle. It's just a matter of getting it in the net here.
Yeah, but as we say this, Nebraska, they have so much time on the offensive half of PSU. They only have 2 shots that actually do mean anything. Penn State, obviously, they do have 0, and I think if my map's correct, 0 is less than 2. I think Glassy tried to just go for a pogo there. Shot, though, by Evan, gonna be too high, won't even get registered. Kendi and K-Fish will meet in the sky, and this goes back into the PSU corner. PSU cannot escape this defense. There's another shot that has to get saved by Classy, who, in response, will be putting it back over to the midfield, being met by a teammate.
And Zimic really wanted that mid boost just now. Luckily, he did get it. Kendi, though, almost there on the shot. And it's a lot of missed opportunities here on both sides, you could say. I mean, it's solid defense on both sides as K-Fish with another shot. And Zimic will put it away. I was just trying to talk about that bump attempt a second ago, looking to find the words, but Evan with not quite the save attempt that Penn State's looking for, and Nebraska will get on the board.
Yeah, and I mean, I do really love that. It was pretty much a three-man play, right? K-Fish put the shot on Electro, tries to get the bump, which makes it so awkward for Ned. But speaking of Electro, there's the flick. One-on-one, Electro doesn't lose that, and suddenly it's a 2-goal game.
And that is not what you want if you're Penn State. Kendi just a little aggressive on the cheat, and it goes right past him, and that third man is not ready. So Penn State's got some work to do, and let's see what they do on this kickoff.
Yeah, I think something that's worth mentioning here is Penn State's hopes are not a simple victory thing, which Kendi get a huge save. Their thing is going to come down in the end with how everything's looking, a game differential. Should they win this game and Washington State lose, it will become a tie that would technically win for Penn State, but Michigan obviously would be tied with them. So we would have a 3-way tie. It goes to game differential, which Penn State is not having the greatest time with right now. So a clean 3-0 sweep is what they'd be looking for their best opportunities to make it through. But right now, their big thoughts are, can they get a foothold in the series? Right there, Kendi with the fake. It's going to be met well, but not going to be able to do anything else. And Zimic will just take control in his back half.
And if you know anything about Penn State, it's that they can make it happen when it's important, as Evan will look for a pass here to Classy, and there it is, as I say it. Classy gets on the board for Penn State. Beautiful pass in from Evan. No one from Nebraska really committing for that, and they leave Zero Boost Zimic in as the first man, and that will not work out.
Yeah, 43 seconds, a 1-goal game. This is very doable for this Penn State squad, but their kickoff goes very well for them. Classy gets control. Electro is just backing up. His boost has the rear headlights on, but right now Zimic, he's the one meeting it first. Kendi's going to be waiting a second. We'll meet him in the sky. Touch kind of awkward. Final 30 seconds here in game 1. We'll be seeing if Electro can put this midfield. No, Evan will cut it off, and Penn State, they got to get out as soon as possible if they want to be in this, and that's a good start to it, but Electro will just deny them again and again. There's only 3 shots for this Penn State squad, and right now they need another one to even make hopes alive, but as the final 10 seconds wither away, Zimic tries to do something, and Electro finishes the job, and it looks like Nebraska will be going 1-0 to start the series.
And that low shot count is really just a stark contrast to what you've seen out of Penn State very early in the season. I think Fahad was the leader in shots per game at one point in time, or maybe he still is. Obviously not playing today, but Kendi says not quite yet. Finding that kickoff goal, and this game is not over.
Yeah, I mean, I think as Nivex would say, kickoff shenanigans. But, I mean, you're going to need one right now if you're this Penn State squad. I don't think you're going to get another kickoff goal like that. But all eyes on the center of this field. Evan tries to put it back into the corner. It will be up the wall with 0 seconds, though. This ball touches the ground. Classy past one. Can he keep it alive? No, there's a bump, and it will go to Nebraska. But right now, Penn State obviously might not be the thing that you're looking for, but you've been showing things. But I think it's worth talking about Nebraska, what this game means to them, and what a victory and a loss means in general. And I think we have a funny little graphic to show up about what the win-loss here means for Nebraska. Am I correct?
Absolutely, and here it is. So, if Nebraska wins this game, Iowa State is coming in as the first seed in the Northern Conference. Nebraska currently in second. And if Iowa State... if Iowa State wins... I'm reading this wrong. If Nebraska wins... they want Iowa State to lose so that Nebraska can claim the first seed in the North. However, if Iowa State wins, they get the first seed regardless. However, if Nebraska loses, Iowa State will still claim the first seed with an Iowa State win. However, if Iowa State loses, there is a 3-way tie for first in the Northern Conference.
Yeah, it's chaos all around. I think the entire MCC has spreadsheets made for like pretty much every single scenario. The amount of spreadsheets I've had to make for this league is utterly diabolical. But that doesn't matter right now, spreadsheets and whatnot, because we got game 2 underhand, and PSU, they need to get a win soon if they want to keep their hopes alive. As Classy starts it off, high shot, won't be anything. K-Fish will control it well, keeps the dribble going, gets a demo actually. Kendi though keeps it back on the side, and right away this game is starting with physicality hard from K-Fish.
And that's just, you know, what you see out of Nebraska, and here it comes again. Now that is a little bit of a double commit, but it's okay. Electro is in the back half, flicking it over Classy right there, and Classy will miss again. And I think a third time, or no, that was Kendi. Penn State is really eager to dive at this ball today, and I mean, you can't always hate it because sometimes it works, but you just hope that Nebraska isn't in a position to punish them for it.
Yeah, I think they're going for a very cherry-picking style right there. I think Evan was on the back wall, didn't quite get it. I think Classy was trying to do a pre-flip redirect, didn't quite get it, but I think Penn State, you can tell their confidence isn't shot quite yet, which is good to see, but right now they're back on the defense. They haven't done this all game, and right away, 1 shot, 1 goal, Nebraska 1-0.
And that back wall will really do it to you. You could see Evan kind of regretting his life choices right there, because that is not an advantageous touch. I've done many of those in my champ career. But Penn State...
Are you calling Evan champ?
No, I'm calling myself champ. But it happens to the best of us. Electro with the shot on. And nothing quite there. Kendi looking to take things the other way now. But nothing doing quite yet, as Penn State is really playing aggressive in this Nebraska half at the moment.
Yeah, there's already 2 shots for this PSU squad, and I feel like in a minute and a half, that's a much better turnaround than we saw in Game 1. But right now, their defense has got to hold strong like it did in Game 1, which it did there for a moment. But there's a double tap attempt from Zimic. He gets it. Classy, you can't put a hand up. It's 2-0.
And that's just an unfortunate position for Penn State. But Zimic with a nice double tap finish. It doesn't get more clinical than that. And Nebraska looking at a repeat of Game 1. They are up 2-0, I think even faster than the first time. So if you're Nebraska, you're feeling great right now, and you just need to hold on the defense, and great things will be coming their way.
Yeah, good news for Penn State is it wasn't much less time. There was double the amount of time, it feels like, compared to the scenario in Game 1. So, you know, double the time, double the chances, some would say. But Nebraska, also double the time for them to score an additional goal is off the corner. Zimic tries to go. K-Fish puts a lateral touch that Electra will meet, but Evan will be next. Classy, though, will take a heavy shot that Zimic will put into the corner. Who's going to be first to it? Kendi opts to back off. I don't know if I agree with that fully. Now the boosts are awkward. Now there's a demo on the end, but there's a double commit, and there's another demo in Penn State. There was an opportunity there that you couldn't quite capitalize because your second man was demoed.
And that's a great effort on the demos right there. I think we saw 2 or 3 of them in quick succession following that bump. And that's really where the opportunities come from, but they'll be sure to find some more. Evan, no reset there. However, Classy with a shot on. And will he double that? No, Kendi is up. And now Nebraska coming the other way. And this is the situation that they score on, but not quite yet.
Yeah, there was almost a fake there. K-Fish, he's up. Can he get a shot off? Yes, he can. There was no one in net. The boosts were low. I think people were prioritizing boost, and it's 3-0, and Penn State, it's going to be a rough one for him to get back into this.
And K-Fish was just in such a great spot for that shot. Glad he didn't turn off that one because he was just ready for it. And now Penn State is in quite the hole, and they need to get out of it. Plain and simple, and they don't have much time. Here we go. Kendi looking to start it off. Up to Classy, and he has a nice angle, but no double. Maybe Evan. No. And now Kendi will be back to start the next wave here for Penn State.
Yeah, 100 seconds left in this game. There's going to have to be a save here, which there will be. Evan will put it off to the corner, but as this time ticks away, the more and more unlikely it looks. But there's going to be a shot opportunity. Evan, though, gets an awkward touch, and Zimic, he has no issues with denying that one, and now he's going to put his own shot, much more threatening than Evan's, and there's going to be a save. There's a demo, though, from Classy. He's going to open up some space. Kendi, though, doesn't get a touch, and he doesn't even bother going for the physicality play, and so Nebraska, they're coming away from this unscathed, and Penn State, Time keeps on ticking away. It's about to be a minute left, and you don't have a single goal right now. But Kendi's going to try to change that. That's going to be left, but Zimic had it anyways, and now Electro will just clear right back. And as the seconds tick away, Penn State is eyeing closer to possibly being swept or starting a reverse sweep. Only time will tell.
And Nebraska is really feeling at home, aren't they? Like, this is just... Like, it's just utter domination by Nebraska almost. I mean, Zimic coming in with another shot attempt, and Penn State has been looking on the defense for a big chunk of this game. But not right now. Kendi will make an attempt, and Classy might put this one away. Not quite. And now it's K-Fish bringing it the other way once again. So, if you're Penn State, you got to find 3 goals in 15 seconds, and the odds are diminishing by the moment.
Yeah, I think that Electro Flick will officially secure it. That ball will be high, it will be met, and time ticks away, and Nebraska will go 2-0 in Penn State. Your job coming to this series was to see how good of a game differential can you make. At this point, your job is, can you get the win out? As you will have to make a reverse sweep to keep any hopes of your season alive.
And it's really not an advantageous situation for them. Actually, I think it's a good time. Let's look at in the event that Penn State does reverse sweep, they want Washington State to win because that would lead to a 3 or 4-way tie for the final spot in the Northern Conference. And that is Penn State's advantage because they would hold the game differential advantage in that case. And that would send Penn State right up to the playoffs. However, if Washington State loses, that puts Michigan at 4-3, and Michigan will go right through. So if you're Penn State, you need a reverse sweep here, and you also need Washington State to beat out Michigan for that final spot.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the game differential thing you matter. I don't think we have a guarantee on that PSU would make it based on game differential. I think everything's kind of up in the air because we had 2 weeks when these were all started to be creative. But the big thing here is obviously the 3 or 4-way tie. It would be between Michigan, Washington State, and Penn State, and Pratt could sneak their way in there. So that's where the chaos begins. But right now, I think all eyes are on this game 3. Will Penn State make something happen here, or will their season end by getting swept by one of the powerhouses of the North? As we find out off this kickoff, this instantly favors Zimic. He's going to put a shot on, and that tone might be one of the worst ways it could have started.
I mean, Nebraska's just... They've been on these kickoffs today. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in the air. But wait, we got to lock in on the kickoffs, man. I don't know what else to say. The kickoffs have been interesting to watch as Zimic now with another shot. Not quite. And now Kendi wants to make a statement as he bumps K-Fish out of the way. Evan with a nice little pass out of the corner, and now it's on Classy, but he might actually get beat by Zimic here. Not quite. And Penn State is really feeling the heat now. They want to score first, but Evan, not quite. He had an opening, and it just wasn't quite enough. Nebraska with a similar fate as well. And it is a race for this next goal ASAP for both of these teams.
Yeah, right now, Nebraska, if they can score a second one, you are practically, with how PSU has been scoring, putting them on death's door. But right now, Penn State, I like some of the aggression I was seeing there. The physicality was good. The big things I want to see is, I think Kendi steps it up, but it doesn't matter when Classy's going to play like that. There is a goal all tied up off of Classy's solo play.
And that is just a great momentum swing for them. Zimic camping that corner. Can't do that for too long because Classy's there to put it away. And suddenly we are tied.
Yeah, and as we go, another kickoff. We see Evan will be the one to collect it. Let's go high. Electro, though, will meet it up very easily. And suddenly, K-Fish foot race. Kendi can't quite get it. Zimic gets it to the side. Well, Kendi's actually still there. No boost, though. Who will be the first to make it? It will actually be Classy. Tries to put a shot on. Can't quite do it. Evan can't put it on target either. And Electro will clear it out. And I think Classy actually got a touch there. I don't think it really affected the ball, but he's sticking around. Classy's been everywhere. He is trying to make this as hard as possible for Nebraska to get away with as we keep on going.
I mean, he is really seeming in his element right now. And we will need some more of that if you are a Penn State fan, as he has an assist attempt off the wall leading to a double commit, and that won't go in. So that's a little bit of a bummer, as Nebraska may be starting to bring this the other way, but not quite yet.
Oh my goodness, Evan got the reset there. But thankfully for PSU, they weren't quite punished for that double commit because all the boost totals, but right now, this is the closest that they've ended up being punished. But Evan will try to 50. K-Fish will just put it high. First person to it next will be Kendi, who puts it over to Classy, but K-Fish is all over that, reading that play early. But staying in the corner. It feels like this right corner for PSU is where that they are favoring this ball every single time they're on defense. I don't know if Nebraska's quite picked it up, and like manning players there more often than not, but right now, it's all tie game, and we're about to be halfway through it.
And this is really a pivotal moment if you're Penn State, because if you go down here, there's no promises that you stay in this thing. So Evan will want to find this goal right here as Classy puts one down, and there it is. Is that Penn State's first lead of the series?
That is the first lead, and this was a great play. Evan gets the 50. Kendi gets the demo, and Classy just finishes it up. There's a three-man play. Penn State saw the opportunity to go all in, and all in they did go to get themselves the first lead that they need.
And here we go. Zimic with a shot of his own, but Evan is feeling calm. K-Fish with a backflip, and that actually looked a little bit dangerous for Penn State if K-Fish were to shoot that, but we're looking good now. However, it is a little awkward on the defense, but they're doing okay. Penn State figures it out with a clear to the back half, and now Nebraska is in the hot seat as K-Fish gets demoed, and Classy is really feeling it right now.
Yeah, Kendi, though, will recollect this ball, make sure Electra can't do much. He's going to get chased here for a second, but beats two. Can there be a pass infield? There will be a double commit again. It feels like this PSU team, they can't quite be on the same page for these comms, and it's been messing them up over and over. But right now, it doesn't matter. Classy tries to put a shot on, can't quite. Evan will be meeting it, will take a controlling touch, uses all his boost to meet this ball again, but Classy will put it slightly high. Zimic will meet it, and now Penn State will try to set camp over in the Nebraska side as Electro attempts to deny that.
And here we go. I mean, this is really the moment for Penn State. They got to hold this lead, and that puts them just one game down instead of two, as Kendi will make that closer to reality. An unfortunate clear by Zimic, or Zimic just got beat on that one, and Kendi's just there.
Electra couldn't quite meet Kendi either, but 2-goal lead, a minute left. This is sort of reminiscent to what happened, but not quite to game one, where we saw 2-goal lead come out from Nebraska, which got lost. We'll see if Penn State can deny that, which there's no kickoff goal, so I think that's a good start. Classy, can he put a shot on? Yes, he can. What a shot by Classy, making a statement in week 10. Off the ceiling, gets the read on target, and can't quite be reached by Zimic. 4-1.
That is an incredible shot. And, okay. Well, we can call it that if you're reading the chat. But K-Fish will get one of his own, as Penn State may be a little wrapped up in the moment right there. And Classy's caught off guard.
Yeah, thankfully for them, they did get that. They did have a 3-goal lead. If it was a 2-goal lead, I'd be a bit more terrified, but thankfully they had their moment to lock in. They'll figure things out. But Nebraska, they're technically not out of it. A minute is plenty of time for something to go horribly wrong here. As Zimic, he will try to start it off. There's a beat, but no, Evan, it wasn't even on target. It won't matter. But Electra's shot will be on target. Classy has to get the save. Who's going to be next? There will be barely anyone. There's no boost on the side of the PSU team. But this midfield, that's where they opt to back off Nebraska. And there's a huge 50 by Kendi. Is he just going to finish that off? No. K-Fish will be there first. Another shot, though, down center. And Evan can't quite put it on target, but 30 seconds left. Time is withering away here for Nebraska. They got to get a shot as quick as possible in the net if they want to stay in this.
And that's a great attempt right there, but Penn State able to meet the shot before it is taken, really, as Nebraska now needs 2 goals in these final 5 seconds, and with the ball in their half, actually rolling into their net, that possibility is practically eliminated. So Penn State able to turn it around in this game 3.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what you want to see, right? I want to see, they got scored in the first 3 seconds. Am I correct for saying that?
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that did happen, and I mean, big mental resilience, right? Evan's not even going for kickoff. I think he's just chilling out for a second as we go here into now game number 4. But that's a huge thing for PSU. You might not have the goal differential you come out of this alive, but your priority at this point is get that win, and that's something that you need right now. Start a reverse sweep, Nebraska. This would not be the first time Nebraska's been on the receiving end of a reverse sweep attempt. I think it was week 8, maybe week 9. I can confirm it was week 8 that they played Kansas State, and they went up 2-0. Then they lost 2 in a row to Kansas State, and they finally held it off in game 5. But Nebraska's, mental resilience is something that we need to see how strong it currently is. So, we'll see, obviously.
I mean, that Kansas State series from Nebraska was truly a heroic effort. Kansas State was like one of the top teams at the time, I believe, and they just had such a strong start, and they just had such high momentum that when they tried to get that reverse sweep and Nebraska held them off, that was just a great win for them. However, if you know anything about this Meridian Collegiate Conference, it's that no team is immune to reverse sweeps. As we get into Game 4, and Penn State is looking to make a statement, while Nebraska is looking to hold their playoff position.
Yeah, right now, instantly, Kendi will be the first one to it. That's not going to be a shot on target, but Electro has to still go up anyways. There's going to be a boost deal actually in the corner. K-Fish, no boost. The boost deals already for Nebraska are so rough, and that's the tone that you want to say if you're Penn State and Nebraska. Suddenly, Game 1, it might have been a fluke. I mean, Game 3, it might have been a fluke. Game 4, though, if it happens again, it might be a coincidence, but 3 times, that's a pattern. And right now, this might be the start of one, as we see here.
Classy looking to make something happen early. Nebraska didn't really want to jump on that one. However, they will double commit for that one on their own wall. Kendi with not quite the touch there. And Nebraska is trying to make some plays. I see him kind of being active on this side of the field. And it's just a matter of will they be able to make something happen before Penn State decides to take things the other way.
Yeah, and I do want to commend Nebraska on their team plays here. They've been very lateral at the ball movements at times, where it just makes sense, It's just, you see, oh, if I push this upward, I'm just going to be taking the 50. But I see that I have a teammate middle. Why don't I just do like an infield pass that it might slow the ball down a bit, but we keep possession, and now we have a new opportunity that arises. And it's worked out well for them, even if the end goal doesn't quite happen by Kendi. Their end goal is just the back of the net, which almost happens if it wasn't for Electro, and now suddenly Nebraska, they're back on the back foot as Classy tries to put it center, which it will be. Kendi, can you reach in time? No. K-Fish will be there using no boost. Will be able to do his own thing. Goes for a solo play, which gets 50 and denied by Evan, but Zimic will be next. Will be a shot. Will be in the back of the net. 1-0 Nebraska.
I mean, as we're talking about Nebraska making plays, they've been doing this all season, and it's why they are now in the second place position that they are. And it just goes to show how well they play as a team, and it's just a great effort by them overall. And K-Fish looking to make another goal happen here. But if you're Penn State, you need to acknowledge that and start making plays here, as Evan will try to do.
Yeah, right now, though, Kendi will cut it off, and that's just an open net. What happened there? I think a bit of sitting by Zimic, I want to say. Yeah, Electro gets an awkward touch. Zimic, he is a bit too far center for what it was, and Kendi just cuts it off and responds in due time. Suddenly, it's 1-1. 2 minutes of the game has gone by, and again, it's anybody's game.
I feel like I'm in a deja vu moment as we have another 1-1 situation, and I think the first 2 games, Nebraska started off 2-0. But if you're Penn State, you can't get lost in that, and neither can Nebraska, as Classy looking to put... Is that a triple commit on the end of Nebraska that I just saw?
Yeah, triple the commit, triple the chances, and that chance was a very good one. It became a pinch that suddenly PSU's got to worry about. Kendi, vertical, Electro almost gets the touch there. Classy, though, will cover it, and suddenly he will do his own solo play. He gets the reset, but he has no boost. Zimic no worries about that, but Kendi will be the next one off. But awkward touch there from him, and Evan now in his back corner will have to get it out. First touch good. Classy gets a 50. Next person up will be Kendi with minimal boost. Ops will leave it, and Evan will get another clear out. Take Classy this time. He tries to put a shot on. Won't be on target. And Electra, though, will be able to reach it as well.
And that was a series of unfortunate touches by Penn State a second ago, but they were able to make it out of that position. Evan, though, with no boost, Classy will take this over, and Kendi will be driving this play now, as Nebraska will pretty easily clear it off and score. They will score. Zimic will put it away off of the dish by K-Fish, and that's just great out of Zimic. Evan not able to meet it there, and Classy not quite back. And Nebraska, if they can hold for 1 minute and 45 seconds, this series is all over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're highlighting how great that play was, actually. It was an infield pass and a great touch to make it happen, but right now, there's got to be worries again. You're on the defense. Can there be a shot here from Classy? No, it'll just be another 50, which Evan will meet now. Gets a huge pinch, which sends it back over. Nebraska doesn't like those K-Fish!
Oh.
The own goal to make it 2. Oh, Evan, he wanted to get a goal. He got his goal. I don't think that's how he expected to get it, though.
Let's just say that's a well-placed cookser off the ceiling by Evan. Off of the Nebraska car. He meant to do that. I've seen him practicing in free play, you know. He goes for these types of things. And he is going for the kill on Zimic. And Kendi will get the demo on Electro. But Kendi will also knock the ball out of the way. And Classy just bumping K-Fish. Penn State feeling really physical right now.
Yeah, I think in the end, it doesn't matter that Kendi actually hit that ball. Classy wasn't even close to it. There wouldn't have been any chance for a goal, I don't think. There would have been a cut off. But obviously, we'll never know as we go into this final minute. Evan tries to put something on. It'll be way too high. And there's another double commit Nebraska as this clock winds down, as Penn State feels more and more in this series. There was a chance there as Cave was trying to make one, but it gets cut off. But as Penn State gets more and more in this series, Nebraska gets more and more antsy, and the question marks regarding the mental fortitude comes into play again and again. And right now, there's a reason that we have these questions, because this isn't the same Nebraska that we saw in Game 2.
Absolutely not, but they will have the same type of shots here as Penn State is holding off well. Zimic, though, not quite done. Classy on no boost, so Electro will just bang that out, and that is almost in their net, as Penn State cannot find it. Off the crossbar, off the post, and Penn State kind of just wants to take it to overtime, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you kind of have to. You just had 2 amazing chances if you were Evan, and you just bottled them both, for lack of a better word, in Nebraska. They are counting their lucky stars, because in no way should you be getting away with that. But right now, Penn State, if you're Evan, you got to get that off your mind instantaneously, because right now, overtime, it doesn't matter what's happened. It's a golden goal. There's trying to be a shot there, but Classy also cuts off K-Fish, and Zimic couldn't quite do it. But now there's a 50. We'll go very lateral here on the Penn State side. First person to it will be Evan, but it's going to be met by K-Fish. It's going to be a shot on target, and it will be in. Game 4, Nebraska wins it. Nebraska eliminates Penn State from playoff contention.
And I mean, they've just been doing it all series, so props to Nebraska. And way to, you know, exploit that defensive hole there. Nebraska, what a way to cap off the season. So they will certainly be a team to watch heading into this playoffs. And Penn State is officially knocked out.
Yeah, and a fun game. Obviously, Penn State didn't quite get what they wanted in the end, and it's a heartbreaking way to end your series. But right now, we obviously, there's a lot to talk about, right? I think there's so much to feel for both of these teams.
I think,
do you want to talk on the Penn State side of things?
Yeah, for those uninitiated, Dancing Banana and I are both Penn State students, so this one is a real heartbreaker. But, you know, it just goes to show how well Nebraska has played this series. But, you know, Penn State, they had it in them. They were attempting to make things happen. and it was just a great effort, given the circumstances of this season for Penn State. It was just, an unfortunate way to go out, but a valiant effort for them this season.
Yeah, but okay, but I think we're about to get someone in here, and I believe we will be talking to K-Fish in a second, and I think he will be joining us here. K-Fish. As we wait for K-Fish to join, let's see. I think the standings. Here we go. Never mind. We'll talk about standings after. Hello, K-Fish. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I mean, you gave us a fun game there. Bit of a worry for a second, obviously. You guys almost lost in Game 4, but in the end, you were able to bring it in overtime.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the feelings there?
I mean, I always have a tendency to own goal, and kind of came out in that last little bit in Game 4, so it got a little scary there, but we kind of knew that since it was just my fault and not us losing a goal to the other team, then we could get it back pretty quick. So that's what we did. But yeah, it was a little bit of nerves. They were playing really well. They're playing really fast. So
yeah, 100%. And I got a follow-up question. Obviously, with that win, doesn't quite change your standings yet. You will be ending the season 6-1. Only lost to Iowa State. Obviously, tomorrow there will be a game of Iowa State Kansas State. Should Iowa State lose, you guys will be taking the number 1 seed. I think it's safe to assume you will be rooting for Kansas State there.
yes, we are. We're definitely rooting for Kansas State. Regardless, it's going to be a good match. I think both teams are pretty solid. But yeah, definitely rooting for Kansas State.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. And I think we'll make it a bit short today, but I got one final question. Obviously, the playoffs. We will be unifying the North and the South. Is there anyone in the South that you really want to play?
I think CSUF is one of the biggest contenders in the South, so we're really keen on playing them, and we want some good games out of that. So it's really whatever makes us better as players.
Yeah, 100%. That is great to hear, and I think we won't hold you back for much longer. Congratulations for obviously already had the playoff secured, but further cementing yourself as one of the top dogs in the league going into that. And I think we'll let you go with the rest of the team. Thank you, and have a good one.
Thank you so much.
And with that, I believe that's all we had for tonight. Am I correct there, Fast?
I think it is. I will highlight the standings here. This doesn't reflect the game that was just played. But here's an idea for you as Iowa State and now Nebraska are looking at that top position in the North, whereas CSUF is just obviously dominant in the South. And we do have playoffs coming up. Not only... Well, we actually have the rest of Week 10 coming up. We have a few games tomorrow and potentially some on Thursday, but we really get into the meat of this playoffs next Wednesday, April 22nd, as we will be getting into, I believe it's a double elimination format. Is that finalized?
Yeah. I believe we are about to finalize it. I think that will be something discussed tomorrow for finalization. But yes, small teaser, double elim. The top, it'll be teams playing against their own region until upper finals, should it go through. And then the bottom, you want to see North v South. You believe your South team can beat the North team, your North can beat X South team? Well, there might be a chance you'll find out in the lower bracket where you're fighting for your life. But obviously, I think that's a next week thing we'll find out. But obviously this week, we got to figure out who in the world is making it in the North. Will it be Michigan? Will it be Washington State? We got to figure out Iowa State, Kansas. Who's taking the first seed? We got to figure out over in the South, Texas Tech, North Texas, Maryland. They're all still fighting for that 4th seed. And so much more to discover here in Week 10 of the MCC. But those sound like issues of a future day. And I think it's time to tell everyone good night.
Well, that will do it for us. So we will see you in the next few days for the rest of week 10, as well as starting next week.